Why Scotland is 94% empty? Do you know why? Because I don't, and I'm going to learn today why Scotland is 94% empty. Interesting. All right. I saw this one, came across my radar. I'm like, you know what? Let me learn something today. So it's your girl, and I'm back with another reaction video for you today. I'm getting this one from Facts Voyage. The link will be in the description below. Please go over and show them some love. But before you do, don't forget to hit the like and hit the subscribe if you're new here. And to all my regular schmeglers, day one, sweetie pie, sweetie poos, come on in, right back. Let's learn something together. Here we go right about now.
This is Scotland, and this is where everyone lives in Scotland. Scotland's population is 5.45 million, yet 70% of them live in this area. Why? Well, let's talk about it. But before we get into it, feel free to subscribe to the channel. This area right here is what we call the central belt of Scotland, which holds around 3 to 3.5 million, which is 63% of Scotland's population. And if we include areas like East Fife, Perth, Dundee, that brings up to nearly 80% of the country, all within this small strip against the centre of Scotland. But why? There's plenty of other cities within the north of Scotland, such as Aberdeen, with a population of 261,000, which is the hub of all things oil rigs. It was named the oil capital of Europe, not to be confused with the Etihad Stadium. It was voted the safest city within the UK and has one of the lowest employment rates in the UK. Aberdeen was ranked as the third best place to live in the UK, and you're able to buy a castle for the same price as a one-bed flat in London. So what's not?
What? You were able to buy a castle the same price as a one-bedroom in London? So Aberdeen was the top of the top, and it's the oil area. Oil hub. That's generate most of. This is interesting that so many people live in one specific area, and then let's continue.
To love about Aberdeen? Well, apart from this terrifying amusement park, which I'm sure you've seen online. Well, like we said earlier, it is named the oil capital of Europe. And with such a great title comes great demand. This makes the cost of living in Aberdeen relatively high, mainly due to its high demand for housing, goods and services due to the oil industry. However, salaries in the area are also higher to compensate for this. Also, most notorious with the north of Scotland, the weather. Aberdeen is a coastal city, which makes it prone to many windy days. And when wintertime comes in Aberdeen, you might only get 6 hours of daylight. The other Scottish city in the north of Scotland is Inverness, with a population of around 50,000. Inverness dates back to the 6th century, is home of the Loch Ness Monster, and is described as the gateway of Scotland's beautiful Highlands, but yet still is only home to 50,000, which is relatively small for a city, so it can feel pretty lonely and isolated. It doesn't exactly attract the youth of society. Let's not forget, Scotland has over 790 islands, which you'd assume is a lot, but still only 93 of those islands are inhabited. The most popular.
What? Over 790 islands. But it's not a lot being populated. Man, I'm not gonna lie on this one, guys. It looks beautiful. Oh my word, it looks beautiful. Man.
Populated of which is Harrison Lewis, which habits 21,000 people. From pictures alone, you might mistake as the Bahamas, just with more sheep and a difference of 30 degrees Celsius. Other notable islands include Shetland, Orkney, and probably most notable, the Isle of Skye, famous for its natural beauty and nature. Across Scotland's inhabited islands, the population is roughly 103,000. So why do more people not live here? Well, firstly, the transportation can be tricky. Some islands require a train, then a bus, then a ferry, then sometimes a flight. Sometimes the ferries are only available once a week. The world's shortest commercial flight actually exists here, a flight between Westray and Papa Westray, which lasts 90 seconds in full, which is a tourist attraction in itself. But it's hard to ignore the natural beauty of these islands. Not only is getting there hard, but so is leaving. Due to the limited housing, the cost of living can be quite expensive. The internet isn't the best, there's limited education, and for kids, there's very little to do. These are small communities that are landlocked, and these issues persist in similar communities. The Outer Hebrides in 1901 had a population of around 46,000, and by 2001, it had fallen to 26,000, a staggering 43% decrease. Researchers predict it could fall to 20,000 by 2050, which would be a shame considering its natural beauty. I reckon if Scotland planted some palm trees and added some heaters and started calling the Isle of Barra the Bahamas, maybe some American tourists could save these islands. Now back to...
What a shade. What a shade. What a shade. Woo. I'm sorry, I had to laugh on that one. Maybe some American tourists will consider. Whoa, what a shade. But yeah, they would. No. No offense taken here, even though I'm not. Let's leave it at. But it is crazy though that there's so many areas that are unpopulated, and I'm like, it's breathtaking, it's beautiful. But I see what he's saying, that some areas there's not much activities for kids to enjoy. There's nothing much to do, and you feel kind of isolated. And then you have to take a plane, a train, a ferry. That's a lot to get from one point to the next. Oh my word, it is beautiful though. And then the shortest flight in the world. That is short. I think he said 90 minutes or 90 seconds. It sounds like he said 90 seconds. I'm sorry, please correct me in the comment section. I'm like, what? You take a flight, but it is a tourist attraction kind of a flight. So I get that. But geez, this Scotland is beautiful.
To mainland Scotland, why is the rest of it empty? Well, we've talked about this issue before in why the Romans and Vikings weren't able to fully conquer Scotland. And one of the biggest issues is the terrain. 60% of Scotland is mountainous terrain, making it the UK's biggest wildlife habitat. The Scottish Highlands are actually the same mountain range as the Appalachian Range in America. These mountains were once connected as the Central Pangean Mountains. The top 20 tallest mountains in the UK are, believe it or not, all in Scotland, which makes this area extremely mountainous in comparison to England and Wales. But why do very few people live in the Scottish mountains?
Why?
The combination of lack of housing, educational facilities and workplaces, functional two-way roads make it a difficult place to live. Many people who do live in these lands are self-sustaining, growing their own food and providing their own power and electricity. And also, 22% of the population is over 65 years old, who don't necessarily need work opportunities in these areas. Around 200,000 people live in the Scottish Highlands, which is about 100,000 less than how many people lived there 100 to 200 years ago. The estimated population in the 18th and 19th century was roughly 300,000, which made a lot more sense given the state of the war Scotland has faced in the last few hundred years. Scotland's terrain almost provided a blanket of safety from invasions from many fierce foes, such as the Vikings, the Romans, and most consistently, the English. Feel free to watch these two videos for more explanation on that. The Highlands were a popular home of the Scottish clans.
Man, look at this, man. Look at this. This is beautiful. This terrain is wow. So now I get it. 60% of Scotland, the mountain area, is because of its terrain and the accessibility and transportation. And what he said, that most of the people that are living there, I'm learning so much today, that they're in their 60s. There has no need for them to go out and get work, and they're used to it. So they plant their own, create their own energy, make their own food, self-sufficient, pretty much. So it's not the younger generation that is there; it's the older generation that is used to that way of life. Man, I can't take away from the fact that this place is amazing.
The Scottish clans. One of the biggest reasons due to the decrease in population among the Highlands was an event in the 18th to 19th century called the Highland Clearances, the forced eviction of inhabitants of the Highlands and Western Islands of Scotland. This removal of people cleared the land primarily to allow for the introduction of sheep pastoralism. The Highland Clearances resulted in the destruction of the Scottish clans. This was after the Jacobite rebellion, which resulted in the Battle of Culloden on April 16, 1746, during which
Wow.
thousands of Highlanders were killed. If you look at climate maps for Scotland, despite the difference only being a matter of a car journey due to the terrain, a few hours' drive can sometimes mean a drastic change in temperature. So many
Oh,
Highlanders will be envious of somewhere only a few hours away being much hotter. The only
wow.
benefit the Highlands have over the rest of mainland Scotland is their natural beauty and isolation. Many
Wow.
celebrities have houses in the Highlands, such as Billy Connolly, Paul McCartney, and Bob Dylan, the
Oh,
esteemed folk singer who once sang and described that his heart's in the Highlands. The Highlands seem almost a safe haven for celebrities and retired pensioners. Scotland also do a fantastic job of preserving their natural beauty. Scotland's iconic Loch Lomond, the biggest lake by surface area in the UK, came under threat a few years ago when Flamingo Land launched a plan to build a theme park at this iconic natural site.
oh.
The Scottish population were outraged and launched a petition for them to withdraw their offer, which they did, only for 2 years later for Flamingo Land to come back with a new plan. Scottish Greens have launched another petition, so if you are interested in standing up to this, I'll add the link into the description so we can save Loch Lomond together. So, despite there being room for development within property and tourist attractions, Scotland doesn't necessarily want to,
Got
which
it.
can't be said for every other country. If this was in America, I
Wow.
could imagine they'd have already built a theme park, a Hooters, and a giant Walmart. Scotland
Yep.
is one of the few countries where some places
He's right. If this area was in America, all this natural beauty, all its everything would have been gone. He's right. There would have been a Walmart, a Hooters, a theme park, and the natural reservoir and everything that you see, and the gone, gone. So I really agree with him on that, and I get why the people are kind of rebelling and saying no. Let this stay. This is all natural. This is a part of us. This is what remains. Do not touch it. And I get it. I agree. And then he's saying the people that the rich, they have a more comfortable life, secluded from the everyday people out in other parts of. Boy, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this is. I'm not in awe. It's so beautiful. I'm baffled. I'm lost for words to say exactly. But this is amazing to look at. Scotland is extremely amazing.
look exactly the same as they did 500 years ago. And I think that
Wow.
there's some beauty in that. So,
Yes.
Scotland is rather empty in some areas, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Thanks for watching today's video, and if you want to watch another, click here on the
Look, I am on board with him on this one. It is okay. It is so okay to let it remain the way it is. It's beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's it, it's crazy that after so many years, it's still the same way. The Lachlan. Listen, it's I'm smiling, guys, because people tend to destroy so much of where they're living, or different corporations tend to go in and destroy the natural beauty or a way a place is, and then it lose its value. It the sense of purpose, the peace and serenity that is offered is all taken away from different elements coming in and changing. Some things just need to remain the way it is. And as I sit here and I watch this, I realize how precious and how beautiful Scotland really is. And now I understand why 94% of Scotland is empty. But also in the areas that are populated, it is still breathtaking. Like he said, you can just plant some palm trees and you're in the Bahamas. I'm like, oh my word. In the Highlands, it's beautiful as well. I'm like, whoa, baby. It is. Listen, it's your Island Girl and I'm running out of here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, what you think about this one. Man, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here with your girl. Be good, be kind, be safe. Love you guys, and I'll definitely catch you guys in another video. Bye.